You should watch this video because if you're a man who's sitting up there, you're facing stress, overwhelm, depression, maybe it just feels like it's tough sometimes. Listen to this story about my journey dealing with some of those same things, as well as my mental health and how I addressed it, and some of the things that happened from point A to point B. And I hope that you can find inspiration and you can find a way for you to secure the frame for your family, for yourself, and for your community. Hey, my name is John David Reynolds III. This is my story. Time out. But first, do the whole YouTube thing, like, subscribe. If I'm gonna be here, I might as well do it big. So I appreciate you. Let everybody know. Share this story. When I was 18 years old, I left my mom's house. It was interesting. At the time, I had several awards. I had scholarships in political science, also in theater. I had already done professional acting on stage, professional modeling. I had already spoken at the Reagan Mall. I've introduced congressmen and hung out with senators, had dinner with Colin Powell. All this by the time I was 18. I had done a lot of things my entire life. I had actually built up a reputation. I won awards in high school that gave me even more scholarship opportunities. I was pretty decent in sports, but I'd always get in fights or do something stupid to get in trouble. Always pushing the boundaries. And so when I graduated high school, my mom thought for sure I was going to run away to Australia. Almost did happen. Honestly, that was one of the times in my life I chickened out. So after that, though, what then proceeded to happen was me traveling and going through the world, kind of like my actual ideal dream, like Kwa Chang Kang from Kung Fu. I went around doing all kinds of stuff. When I left, at first I went and I did City Year with AmeriCorps in Columbia, South Carolina. I got to deal with racism and I got to deal with all these things firsthand, straight to my face. Profiled by police. I had my car vandalized by police in search of guns and drugs because an 18-year-old shouldn't have had a decked out, tricked out Cadillac. That was my baby. There were several different little instances where, like I said, I just had an adventure. 2005, during Hurricane Katrina, I was there. I was sitting outside eating hot wings, underage drinking with a couple of Mexicans I worked with framing houses. After that, I traveled up to Indiana for a little bit. I fought up there, trained, worked 12-hour days. Then I went and competed, trained. Days consisted of working 12 hours in the factory and another 6 hours I'd be training, eating 1-2 meals a day, noodles and hot wings. Hot wings was like my protein source of choice. And then once a week I got pizza. Then I went out to the Marine Corps for a little bit. Didn't go too hot. After that, had a collapsed lung, severe bouts of pneumonia, chronic pneumonia. And then we went and, found out my mom had a stroke. Went home, did that for a little bit. Next thing you know, I was back in California fighting. And I got into a crazy relationship. That relationship actually did a lot of damage to me. At the time, I found out that I had narcissistic personality disorder. So narcissistic personality disorder came from the fact that, I was in spotlight from a very early age. I started with, concert choir at the age of 4, 5, 6. I was giving speeches in churches because that's what I was good at. I was on stage for, my third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade assemblies, and then they like kept putting me up to bigger stages. And as it grew, the attention I got from my parents meant a lot to me, and that morphed my perception of reality and the way I associated with people. So I was, is in an interesting way, people get narcissism confused with a lot of things, but there are different types of narcissists. For me, I'm a very overt narcissist. I've been successful. I live in the grandiose because I've actually done grandiose things. And so I feed off of that. An interesting way to look at it was that around, like right after high school, I had an opportunity to go into finance, which is like one of my favorite hobbies. I love the stock market. I love like option trading, commodities. I like that stuff. The numbers and lifting, the numbers of finance and the numbers of lifting, very interrelated to me. And so they click, and the principles line up. But back to the finance thing, and when I got started in doing that, and I had the opportunity to go there, all of my friends that were involved in finance were like really big into coke. Like I was like, but me, quite frankly, I'm a square bear. I had no desire. I was like, I'm good. And I figured, at the time I was really big on that whole follow people closest to you thing. And I was like, there's way too many people I'd be associating with coke. Eventually I'd become the 6'1", And so I moved myself away from that, and that's kind of what what pushed me into further in my travels and further in my adventures. But come back to that because, like with narcissism, while I didn't chase the high of drugs, I chased the high of situations. I was always in dangerous situations. I worked as a bouncer. I worked in clubs. I fought professionally. I went to danger. I went to serious situations where I was at risk because I enjoyed it, or I didn't mind being on stage. I didn't mind being put out there. I didn't mind, you were not going to embarrass me because it was an opportunity for me to excel or for me to fail. Now, I don't like to fail. And so with the relationship that was really toxic, and she was extremely insecure, it led to it was a very volatile relationship. It was always back and forth. And in my mind, again, this is part of where the whole me going to therapy thing for narcissism was important, because I found myself staying in that relationship because I was not known for relationships. My narcissism, my overt narcissism, my dedication to being really good at things kept me out of relationships most of the time because I would be so focused on the task. I'd be so focused on fighting. I'd be so focused on training. I'd be so focused on framing houses. I'd be so focused on being so good at that one thing that I didn't really give people time. Especially not women, especially not, it didn't matter to me. And so I really sucked, and I still suck at emotional understanding and intuition. But I'm learning, and I've learned over the years. And what happened was it made me have to face off with a lot of those things. And I developed several characteristics in which I was able to recognize and learn. But however, the damage of that was far greater, because in doing so, going to therapy and then working on myself and working on those things, I stayed in that relationship too long before I actually learned what the consequence was. And then that consequence was the fact that I was still obsessed with pleasing my parents, and that I found myself staying in a relationship because nobody thought I could do it. And I was so hell bent on proving them wrong that I was going to do it. I was going to make it work no matter what I had to do. Some days I even found myself sleeping out in the car. Like, I was going to make it work. It's crazy looking back at it. My next relationship was my best relationship. It taught me a lot. I'm not going to go into it here. But then it also taught me the importance of therapy. I'm going to go into a couple other things now and the spiral that took place. Because as the end of that relationship that went wrong, I found myself in this strange place where I didn't know who I was and my confidence was broken. And so at the time, by the time people saw me, I was a completely different person. I didn't have the arrogance, I didn't have the swagger, I didn't have the vernacular, I didn't have the things that made me me. And it was broken. I was lost. I was confused. And so over the years, I found myself having these several bouts of depression and overwhelm and stress, because in my head, I could not, for the life of me, find my balls. Like I couldn't find that thing that just said, you know what? You're John David Reynolds III. Your name's a fucking stock tip. Give it out and people will make money off of it. That's how I always felt. But it was like seeped away from me. And then over the next couple of years, after, 2013 and up, I'm sitting there trying to go through all this stuff. And I'd had like these moments where it's like boom, 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 boom. And I was getting it together, and then all of a sudden, crash. Then I do it again, da 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 da, crash. Then do it again, da 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 da, crash. And I couldn't keep it together. And then so the first real episode of I was sitting there in my living room with my dog, and I took this knife, and I had made up my mind I was done, right? And I'm sitting there, and y'all, the craziest part about this is so I had this neighbor. She's transgender, and it was gonna be over for me, okay? And I guess I had the windows slightly cracked open, the blinds or whatever, or well, not the blinds, the curtains, because Sammy, my dog, had ruined the blinds. But where I was at. She had peeked in, looking, being Snoopy. But just because she had just happened to peek in and be Snoopy, she decided to come and knock on the door. And the door was slightly open, I guess. It was because I usually just sat there and just chilled out. And boom, she knocked on the door, and just like that, it didn't happen. I found myself having this conversation with her, and then never really talked about that one with anybody. And then I had a sequence of events where I'm doing things differently, and so I tried to make some changes. Went out to the Bay Area for a little bit, tried to do something different with my life, and then still I couldn't get it to click. But again, things were going pretty good, I had a pretty cool business, coaching, I love it. And then after that, I had this incident. So now we're getting to where we're almost to 2018. And so after the Bay Area incident, moved back into the Sacramento area, and I went and it became this obsession. I was gonna go and I was gonna just dedicate myself to chasing this 2,000 pound total. And I was gonna get over my injuries. And so that's what I started doing. I just pounded away. And all of a sudden, it was back. I was there. I was in the zone. I was John David Reynolds III. And I didn't miss a workout. And like you could, if you go back through my Instagram stories, you'll see at that time, all the pictures were black and white. There was no videos. It was just me training. Because I never trained for the gram. I never trained for anybody else. I trained for me. The gym is mine. My workouts are mine. That's mine. And like you couldn't talk to me in the gym at the time. I was gone. March 31st, had my best meet in powerlifting. 1829 total, not good enough. I should have went heavy on squat. Screwed up my bench. I went 8 for 9. I missed just a third attempt bench. PR'd my deadlift. Great meet. Took a trip down to the Bay Area. I was gonna have a check-in, have a checkup with, then I was gonna spend time down in the Bay. Came back, picked up my dog. 5 minutes from the house, I fall asleep. And I opened my eyes just before I hit a tree. So firefighters get there. I'm looking at them and I say, man, this sucks. A guy named Rick is the one that called 911. And I think me and him actually became friends. But firefighters do everything, and they were gonna roll a dash, and I said, and they were like, it's gonna take 30 minutes. I was bleeding out. My floorboard was covered. My leg was split in half. My steering wheel was faced that way. My dashboard embedded into my chest. Because I was so muscular, was one thing that actually saved my life. The next thing that happened was even crazier. Because they said it was going to take it might even take 30 minutes to get that dashboard because of the way it was situated. I was like, I don't have that much time. And the firefighter, I believe his name is Mark, he said, I don't think so either. I said, I think I could pick it up. He goes, what? I was like, yeah. It's like it moves. And so I started lifting it up, and it actually did come up, and we got space to where he could see my legs and he could move it. And so he says, all right. So they cut the back door off, and then we broke my seat. We made it lay back flat. And so I started picking up the dashboard, and then Mark reaches under, grabs my legs and grabs my waist and starts pulling me out. Then the other firefighter grabs my back, and then they pull me out and they slide the gurney under my butt. Sit up there, I slide out, and they pick me up, and we go out, and I'm sitting on that blue gurney, and I say, man, this is the most uncomfortable thing I ever sat on in my life. We all laughed, and I went to the thing. Then I got in a fight with the EMT over them cutting my shirt. I said, no, don't cut my shirt. If you know me, I love my t-shirt. So she let me keep it. She said, but they're going to cut it off you when you get to the hospital. Very important fact, something I remembered, something that sticks with me to this day. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I said, okay. She let me keep my shirt. CHP shoved the breathalyzer in my face, and I was like, I'm not drunk. Took it, breathed into it, handed it back, it gave it to me, breathed into it, boom, click, boom, doesn't. Not drunk, okay. Go to the hospital, argue with the doctors about surgery, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, 5 operations later, a couple of flat lines, 3, 5, 9, whatever. 27 days in the hospital, and the next couple of months in a nursing home. They said first it was they were going to remove my legs, then it was you might not walk again, then it was you won't squat again, then it was this and that. I just said, give me the chance. Needless to say, I said I was going to stand up. I did that. Then I said I was going to walk. I did that. By August, accident happened April 4th. By August, I was hiking up in Walala, pushing my freaking wheelchair up a hill on the trail. A couple of months later, I entered Slingshot Record Breakers, and I benched 457 for a 17-pound bench PR, beating my bench that I did in March by 17 pounds. 2 weeks after that, I deadlifted 500 pounds for 2 reps. Just like John Paul said, there's no reason to be alive if you can't do deadlift. I was alive. Next couple of years, though, that depression thing came back, and it came back heavy. Because, like, as I was sitting up there and I was just working on bench while I rehabbed my lower body, I entered this contest in October, and like going into the contest, I had been feeling weird. My legs were not connecting with me. Well, at the contest, I lost feeling in my legs. It scared me. It scared me to death. I wanted to give up. I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit life. I broke. And I paid for that. So for like the next year, I actually did eventually see a counselor then. I started talking, because like at that point, I knew I had found myself to just lose myself all over again. And in that moment, I knew I had to do something different. So then, what ends up happening was October 2020. I had been spending weeks taking blood thinners. I got a knife, sharpened it. I had made a video detailing everything I wanted to say to people and what I wanted them to know when I was gone. I had videos for each one of my clients, each one of my friends. I had wrote it all out to know exactly what was going to happen. I even said, and I made the video and told them exactly where I was and what happened. I went off the deep end. Somebody brought me back. I'm sorry she had to do that. I regret that. I have to live with that. The next day I thought I could like do better, but the feeling came back, the urge came back, the ideation came back. So I got up. And I went and I checked myself into the hospital. Now, at that point, that was a lot. But I went and I got help. And it was probably the most painful thing I'd ever experienced in my life. Like, legitimately. They gave me meds as strong as when I was in a car accident. My blood pressure was like well over 270. Like, I was basically stroking out just from the anxiety and the thought of being alive the next day. Like, I was just in pain and agony. It was way more painful than my car accident. I couldn't fathom thinking a day beyond, an hour beyond, a minute beyond. That was different. It changed my life. It changed everything I thought about anything. So then, after I experienced that, I got myself up, had to make some things different. At that point, I started seeing multiple therapists. Like at that time, I just went all in because I didn't want to feel that anymore. I got into one thing after another, anything that could bring some positivity to my life. I had, like, right after I got out of the hospital, I had multiple family members die of COVID or COVID-like issues. And then I had, when it wasn't COVID, it was some other health condition. Like, death was everywhere around me. Like, everywhere. So it was just all grief, all pain. But see, pain. Now, me and pain, we know each other. I could deal with pain. And then so I leaned into it, and I leaned into pain. I leaned into pain so hard, into where I literally found myself actually like losing myself into it. And then as my brain started to clear up and the fog started to go away, and I started surrounding myself with people who started helping me clear up the drudgery. I started putting myself in situations to where the hunger came back. Then I started stripping away things and getting rid of things, emptying myself. You know, I became Tyler Durden, but not your fucking khakis. I started removing it, stripping it, pretty much living out of a gym bag, eating two meals a day, working out 2 to 3 days a week, training clients, reading every day for hours, listening, talking to coaches, talking to therapists, getting my spiritual stuff worked on, really just diving into it. Which leads us to the next accident. Remember I was telling you about how they cut shirts off? Now, let me tell you about this accident. First of all, I'm driving down the highway. I am on my way. I'm going to my friend's house. I'm gonna go lay down. I'm gonna get some sleep. I'm gonna get up in the morning. I'm gonna get on my plane. I'm gonna go to Albuquerque, New Mexico. From Albuquerque, I'm gonna go to Burbank, watch my athletes compete. I'm excited. I love going to Albuquerque. I freaking love going and getting green chili and red chili on every damn thing possible. I'm excited. Anyway, so this crazy jackass comes out of nowhere. Well, technically, all right. So what happened was I'm driving down the right lane. I'm just cruising, and I see this car. I see this black pickup truck. I go around the pickup. I'm just riding. Again, I'm cruising. I get back in the right lane. I'm riding, right, same speed. Like I was basically on cruise control. That was the reason I went around them. It was like I was in cruise control. I was like, I don't want to take it out cruise control. That's all around. Keep going. Right? So then, like, a little while later, whoo, he come flying right past me, right? And then, like, brakes. He literally just flies right out in front of me, but he was a ways away at first, and then, like, literally just, like, brake check right there. All I saw was red lights. And I'm in this little bitty car, and I'm like, whoa, swerving around. And now I went. Now, first of all, like, the moment I started flying, I was like, I'm sitting up there, I'm up there like, boom, just like this. So, like, I got road rash right here from, like, I was rolled into the thing, and then I actually had it all the way across my back shoulder, too, because I kind of, like, rolled with the punches of it. And, like, but at one point, the door got twisted, And this thing came in, it busted me in the back of the head back here, and then it hit me up there, and that threw me forward, and then that's what got my face. And so it got me up here, then it got me here. But like I'm sitting up there just like this. Had I not been covered up, I would have been a lot worse. So anyways, I ended up fracturing several bones in my face, one across here and a couple right here. I fractured my cervical, I fractured 2 things at the base of my skull right here. And then fracture of the L5. Anyways, I actually, and then I had all my eye was actually cut all open. It was split open in a couple of places. And so when it got there, I was just bleeding out of the face. And I climbed out. And this guy, while I was rolling, I saw this car driving along beside me, right? So that guy actually had been a retired firefighter, and he had came up, he had saw me when I went rolling. And so he came and sat with me. He was like, just stay in the car till the fire department gets here, and I'm gonna sit with you. And he's like, I already called him. And so I'm sitting up there talking to him. And so I was like, okay, I'll sit here. Freaking, my knee had started swelling up. The one that's all, my $1 million leg, the one that's real jacked up. And I'm like, damn. But so I get to climb out of the car, right? And then I told the CHP what happened. I told the fire department what happened. The guy told him what he saw. And they take his statement, you know, all that. So I get in the EMTs, right? See, this time I'm an expert. Now this shirt right here from Boss of Bosses 2, I squatted Andre Milani chair squatting 1,057 pounds. Here it is, right here. See that bad boy? Boom. Yeah, it still got the blood on it. I ain't washed it yet. See that right there? See that right there? I took that sucker off in the damn ambulance and I said, they not cutting my shirt off. Principle. Don't make much sense to most people, I know. But that's me. Love my shirts. Each one of them got a memory. Each one of them has love and bestowed into it for some reason. Yeah. So I'm still here. Now let me tell you something. I got out of that car with clarity. I'm sitting here right now making this video, my face all screwed up. And I feel confident, I feel vibrant, I feel amazing, I feel blessed. I don't know how else to explain it. I feel unshakable. I feel like a juggernaut. Like Thanos said, I am inevitable. So I'm sitting up here right now, and I just want to sit here, and if I'm still here, I'm still able. I have a gift. And I know I do because I have clients all over this country and a few others who look up to me, who are inspired by me, and who ask me every day for just a little bit of what I got. So I'm still here and I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to tell you right now that you can do whatever there is in front of you if you push through it. But more importantly, I'm about to start off on something that's going to be crazy. A little bit wild, a little bit insane, but it's going to be totally true to me. And it's going to be true to you because I'm going to teach you. If you let me. If you allow me. If you care to hear my story, I am going to teach you how to get up and live your life with a purpose that is solely built on you and you getting everything that you desire. Because if anything, I know how to do that. I've lived a life that is so full and so rich. I can tell you, if I did die, I would have died a happy man at any point in this time of this story I just gave you. Because I have had a beautiful journey. I have had an amazing story. I've met amazing people. And I've had the opportunity to do amazing things. And fortunately enough, I have an opportunity to do 1 million more. And I plan on it. So now, I want to thank you for listening if you finished this story. I want to tell you I appreciate you for listening. And I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't over. We got a lot of fun to go. And if you got any questions or if you want to know anything, I want you to just go ahead, go down to that link down in the description there. Sign up. Make sure you subscribe and, like, do all that stuff. Keep in touch, because I'm going to keep in touch with you. All right? Go to John David Reynolds III. It's actually John David Reynolds 3.com. And see you on the other side.